I'm just watching coverage on NDTV, New Delhi television, on this situation between India and China, which is looks to be pretty serious. Um, Reports of casualties are that India is claiming 43 Chinese casualties, and China is claiming, or rather, there's thought to be, I believe it's over 30 casualties on the Indian side. Let me just double check this. Um, yeah, the latest figures seem to be Indian sources claim 20 killed. That's 20 Indian troops killed and 4 injured. Indian sources claim 43 Chinese casualties. Other sources say at least 35 Chinese casualties. So clearly, this has been a bloody situation. Um, there's no doubt about that. Of course, the two countries have had a lot of conflicts. I'm going to look at CGTN as well, although I've obviously got my issues with it right now. But we'll look at CGTN on the hour and see what sort of coverage they're making, if any, because Chinese state television has a tendency to just ignore news that might make China look volatile in any way, shape, or form, just like they ignored the Hong Kong protests early on. So wouldn't it all surprise me if CGTN isn't even covering this? Um, but I want to touch on something here. And I don't intend this video to be inflammatory, but I think it's something that is unavoidable as a topic, and that is over the past few years, particularly this year, the Chinese state seems to be doing its level best to make as many enemies as possible around the world. I think China's international reputation has absolutely slumped with coronavirus, but if this thing escalates, I believe that most of the world will back India. And, border clashes are always complex, there are always claims and counterclaims. So I'm not going to say India's right and China's wrong. I don't know. The details are flying out thick and fast. I think NDTV is quite, from what I've seen of their coverage on a whole range of issues, including Indian politics, they are very diverse in their opinions. I mean, what I've seen of NDTV, their coverage of Indian politics is very, they have all opinions there, you know, left wing, right wing, BJP, Congress, um, really nationalistic, less nationalistic. I generally get a good impression from NDTV, a lot better impression than I get from CGTN. And this matters because in 21st century conflicts very much become media wars. I hope this doesn't escalate. Um, but looking around the world right now, what allies does China have? North Korea, Pakistan, and Russia, and I think that's about it. Of course, it's tried to move into Africa, um, but there's signs that there's growing uh, contentions in African states against Chinese businesses there. I believe it was Guinea recently expelled Chinese nationals from there, um, or Chinese business personnel. I don't want to be mistaken here. I have Chinese friends. I'm not xenophobic. My issues entirely with the Chinese Communist Party and its thuggish behaviour around the world. What we have seen in recent years is these so-called wolf warrior diplomats. It's named after a Chinese epic action film. Um, they think it's asserting Chinese national pride. But the whole thing about the century of humiliation, they can't use that one against India. It wasn't India that humiliated China in the 19th century. It was the European powers and Japan and the weakness of the Qing dynasty. But I think Xi Jinping and his regime are kind of gambling just on bully boy tactics. I think they're gambling on we'll just throw our weight around the world and demand apologies and demand that everyone else kowtows to our will. At some point, Beijing is going to have to realize that these tactics will backfire. China today is a very powerful country. I'm under no illusions about that. I'd say it's probably the second most powerful country in the world after the United States. I'd put Russia in the third place. India, I'd put in the top 10, probably on par with Britain and France. Um, Clearly, in India versus China, China is more powerful. However, India, even under Modi, still has vibrant debate. China doesn't. I would say that's the strength of India. Um, but I think that the Chinese strategy here is going to backfire at some point. This sort of bully boy tactics, just throwing the weight around. I mean, the world has seen China's behavior in recent years. The world has seen how China has built artificial islands in the South China Sea, how China has tried to bully smaller neighbors, Taiwan, the Philippines, Vietnam. The Milk Tea Alliance is a group of young activists and dissidents from lots of Asian countries. There's pretty much unanimous contempt for the Chinese Communist Party on that forum. Um, I'm no xenophobe, I don't want ordinary Chinese people to be sort of targeted or blamed for the behavior of their government. However, if they act nationalistic, I've seen Chinese people say, "Why does the world hate China right now?" Well, look at the behavior of your government and then ask that question.